Let's go.
Good thing, yeah, I found that. Young king with my crown at. 10 racks in the fanny pack. Couple hundred in the Louis bag. Couple hundred need a G-Wagons. Big tax on my big spending. Big facts, no pretending. We back on the full sense. That good thing, yeah, I found that. Young king with my crown at. 10 racks in the fanny pack. Couple hundred in the Louis bag. Couple hundred need a G-Wagons. Big tax on my big spending. Big facts, no pretending. We back on the full sense.
Crazy flow, need a straight jacket. Cash flow, I'm a bank addict. 6 subs, had the bass smacking. 808s, had the place clapping. 3 girls is enough for me, so I pull out like the stock crashing. Like an IPO, trying to purchase me. This a private sector, so you can't have it. Faking all that boom bapping. Who you think you is, boy? 90s want they sound back, so I give rap all these fake rappers as I take matters in my own hands. I don't need rapping.
What's going on, shabooshes? Shabooshes. Daddy's home. Daddy's here for all y'all. I know. Don't you worry about a thing, fam. Don't y'all worry about nothing. Drop some comments, say what up.
Cooking up, no stove top. Ice cold, no snow drop. Big budget ass, big facts. Big money in the
Yes, sir. 961. So we're getting into some Q and A.
Yeah, they be sending me new plaques. I don't really need new plaques. Nah, big
Q and
A. Yeah, new
oh
rock,
yeah.
New flex. Yeah, I'm current. I'm a new trend.
Oh yeah.
Boys with the full scent. Yeah, like I said, no new friends.
Tell me more.
I don't really need new friends.
That's right.
Good thing, yeah, I found that. Young king with my crown at. 10 racks in the fanny pack. Couple hundred in the Louis bag. Couple hundred need the G-Wagons. Big tax on my big spending. Big facts, no pretending. We back on the full sense. That good thing, yeah, I found that. Young king with my crown at. 10 racks in the fanny pack. Couple hundred in the Louis bag. Couple hundred need the G-Wagons. Big tax on my big spending. Big facts, no pretending. We back on the full sense.
Fitness without the bullshit.
The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling.
Making gains every
Welcome
day.
to the Daily Swole.
Testing. Test, testicles. Welcome everyone to episode 961 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular swolecast, beardcast, broadcast, gangcast, mancast, pimpcast, sleazecast, slaycast, taincast, mancast, in the realm, because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. Welcome to Sunday Funday. Hello, beaches. No, you should not be injecting things into your butt cheeks, you silly little man. Welcome everyone to 961. We are live, of course, everywhere. Hello. Welcome to the Slamcast. Welcome to the Taincast. Welcome to the Jackcast. I hope you are getting your pump on today. If not, then you are going to get your pump on. You should be. Papa Swolio will be too as well. Looking forward to getting yoked today, but before we do that, we got live Q&A. So today's episode, Sunday Funday Q&A, we've been doing this every Sunday for quite some time, and it is very, very good. It's a very, very good thing. It's very good. I think it's very successful because it allows you to get your questions in, and all of you are giving me great feedback every time we do the Sunday Funday Q&A, and you're dropping great questions. So I am excited for today's episode. And if you're listening to the podcast, if it's your first time listening to a Sunday Funday Q&A, if you're the kind of person that just sees that in the title, like, I'm going to skip this one. Do not skip the Sunday Funday Q&A, because someone's always going to be asking a question that you never even thought to ask. It's going to stir some shit up. It's going to stir some things up in your pot, in your mind. So make sure you don't skip these episodes. Make sure you're not passing on the Q&A, because you never know what someone's going to ask, and you never know what direction these episodes are going to take. It's just fucking grab bag of sick fucking gains. You never know. You never know what you're gonna get, Jenny. You don't know. So what up? What's up, Ramon? The bitch cast. Yes, Anna. Now that you're here, it's the bitch cast. Ha 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 ha. Got it. Got him. Got her. Got it. Got they. Whatever. The proper pronoun. What up? Love you. Anna's here. The bitch cast. All right. I'm going to add that to the intro. The bitch cast. It's official. So let's get into the question. So, all right, here's what the deal is. Those of you that have been following for a while, you know this. The post on Instagram, the post that I do every week, the Sunday Funday Q&A post, for the record, it looks like this. It's been looking like that for a while. I post that up. That way you can ask your questions. And I can answer them. So we have a bunch of questions. I think it's going to be a little bit of not a shorter one, but let's see. I don't think we have as many. We got a lot more in-depth questions. So now everyone's starting to get a little bit more specific with their questions. That's a good thing. So if you do have questions live, I'm more than happy to answer them. The comments scroll. So if you ask, I might not see it right away. So I apologize. But if you want your question asked, just type it again, because if I'm in the middle of fucking talking, I'm not just going to drop everything just for the question, but I'm going to try to get to every question that's asked live and here in print. But if you want priority access to the questions, you got to make sure you go to this post every week and ask your question. That would be silly. If you got questions, now's the time to ask. Plus I'll give you a shout out in the Swole. All right, so let's get into it. I'm excited. Those of you that are in Swolenormous X, got a few new instructional videos that are coming today. I will have that workout up on the gain train as well. So there's a lot of stuff that's coming up today. Brand new driving while gaining that dropped yesterday. If you missed it, if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out on my YouTube channel. So a lot of good things are going down. What are you all pumping today in the meantime? What are you pumping? You lifting today? Don't tell me you're fucking taking a day off because it's Sunday, you boosh. Okay. Let's take these questions. First question from Fanny van Hoogstraten. What a good name, Fanny van Hoogstraten. Question 1. Oh, you got 2 parts. What is the toughest, hardest change that you've ever had to make in your life so far? I don't know. That's a good question. Both consciously and subconsciously. Well, if it's subconsciously, I wouldn't know of it. So I wouldn't know about the toughest change. What was your mindset before, during, implementing the change? All right, this is like the toughest, hardest change. I don't know. I don't know what the hardest change is. Life is kind of one big blanket of difficulty and struggle. And let's see. Finally, can you elucidate on the solutions you came up with, the how and the why? All right, this is a very philosophical question. Yeah, I don't really have an actual instance in my mind. What's the toughest, hardest change I've ever had to make? Don't know. I feel like my life has been kind of consistently just one even big struggle and challenge. I mean, physically, emotionally, consciously, subconsciously. It doesn't really matter what the change is or was for you, or what my strategy was. It's all going to come down to the mental game. That's one thing that I can say, that any kind of change, the challenge, it all comes down to the brain. If you had a physical injury, it's going to come down to your mental approach. If you had a struggle with jobs or any kind of work, it's going to come down to your mental approach. If you're having trouble with your training and getting results fast enough, it's going to come down to your mental approach. So no matter what it is, it's all going to be, whether it's physical or it's mental, it's just all going to be mental. You're going to have the change you're going to have to make, and what you're going to have to overcome and overhaul is your psychological approach to that. So I really do think that training and being into fitness and starting at a young age has been a great foundation, because it's taught me hard work. It's taught me that patience and working my fucking ass off in the gym will get results. But over a long period of time, to try, you're going to fail. You're going to have to keep on going. That no one's going to do it for me. I'm going to do it for myself. So that's usually the change that most people have to make. So I would leave it at that. That's a good question. K. Mark Phillips, what is more important in a diet, carbs or fats? Both. You can't say one is more important than the other. Carbs are not necessarily more important, and fat's not necessarily more important. Both are important. Even if you're going to do ketosis, you want to come out of ketosis. You don't want to be in ketosis long term. You don't want to be, it's not ketosis for the rest of your life. You definitely need to get some carbohydrates in because you're missing a lot of nutrients. It's not good. It's stressful on the body. What's interesting about carbs and fat is that your body can get energy from carbs, fat, or protein. That's why they're called macronutrients, because your body can get energy. Your body can get calories from either of those macronutrients. Now, the interesting thing is when we do these extreme diets, when you go super high in fat or super low in carb, or higher in carb and lower in fat, these are just different ways our body can survive. Your body is designed to survive if there's not a lot of carbohydrate present. Your body is able to survive if there's not a lot of fat present in the environment. So you're able to use these different energy systems because it's a survival mechanism. Your body is designed to try to live to see another day so it could reproduce and keep on, spreading seed and improving the population, right? We're surviving. So ketosis is a survival mechanism, and it's stressful on the body. And that's what a lot of people don't see it as. They see, oh, I'm going to do ketosis, lose weight. It's going to be all, me swimming through the clouds, and it's going to be some kind of like magical paradise. When you're in ketosis, your body's under stress. Your body is under stress when you are lacking a nutrient. It has to shift gears. So you're stressing your body. And I'm not saying it's a good stress or a bad stress. I'm not saying it's a bad way of eating. I'm not saying it doesn't work. What I'm saying is you are restricting your body to specific types of macronutrients. So essentially, you're in an environment where carbs don't exist. Your net carbs, you're not getting any. So your body has to and is forced to use a different energy system, is forced to get energy from a different source. So it's not necessarily your body wants to do that. It's just what your body is forced to. So it's always good to come out of those things. So there is no good or bad. Fats are essential, and carbohydrates in many ways are essential as well. But I prefer a high fat diet. I don't like ketosis, but I do like a very high fat diet with my quality carbs. I love my sweet Pete's. You guys know that. Killa the Baptist. So, Papa, we talk a lot about the chemicals in our foods and their repercussions. What about the chemicals in our body products like soaps, shampoos, etc.? Do I have a list of natural products that I would recommend? I don't have a list of natural products, but yeah, the chemicals in shampoo, in fragrances, and in things like colognes and all these things, yeah, a lot of them are very, very toxic and can cause a lot of issues with your hormones and things like that. And that's another thing. People think it's all about the food, but you're also putting all these chemicals all over your body, and you're rubbing them all over, and all these different things that cause fragrances or that make up the content in deodorant, things like that. They absorb into the skin, and they can cause problems for sure. Pal98, hey Papa, how do you work out when cutting? I know you shouldn't destroy your body because of the lack of nutrients. What do you think is the best idea for a proper cutting rep range, percent rest timing? It depends. It's not like you're destroying your body because of lack of nutrients. You're not lacking nutrients when you're cutting. That's a big mistake or misconception. When you're cutting, you're not lacking nutrients. You are reducing the caloric intake. You should still have a proper nitrogen balance and a proper protein intake. You're not trying to starve your body and starve your muscles from consuming calories. And it doesn't have to be severe. You don't have to be cutting 1,000 calories a day. It could just be a couple hundred, and it's a slow cut. So you're not necessarily getting poor nutrition. You're just causing your body to have to get that gap of energy or that extra energy from the body and from body fat. So in terms of how you work out when you're cutting, I would try to maintain as much as you can your normal routine. When you're cutting, I wouldn't really change too much. You're going to probably lose some strength. You might have a little bit less energy potentially, but I wouldn't change too much of how you're lifting. Your strength might go down a little bit. So don't try to do like max reps or the highest intensity training when you're cutting. But in terms of rep range and things like that, rest timing, that's probably going to be very, very customized to the individual. I can't say how hard someone else is going to train, because just saying, hey, you're going to still push hard, that's such a subjective thing to say. So it's hard to be like, yeah, push hard, keep lifting heavy. Heavy for different people is relative, and training hard is relative for different people. So not everyone's going to see one workout as training hard. Some people might be like, oh, that's a pussy workout. And some people, oh my God, that's the hardest workout I've ever seen. So that's up to the debate, but you should not be getting lacking nutrients. You should be getting plenty of nutrients. You just need to be in that slight caloric deficit that would benefit you the most. K130V, why only now I see some people talking about bulking and cutting, but why are people now doing it as just for a way for gains? I don't understand the question because people have been doing bulking and cutting for decades in bodybuilding. You just said, I know bodybuilders have been doing it for ages, but why are people now doing it for just a way for gains? I'm confused because that's how you make fucking gains. You have to consume enough calories. You have to bulk. I mean, if you're bulking, you're putting on size. I'm not sure if that question was worded well. I mean, I know it wasn't because I'm confused, but Preston Pasqua, all my friends stopped going to the gym and now I have no one to spot me. They left you all alone? They left you all alone? They left you all alone at the gym? My friends stopped going to the gym and now I have no one to spot me on bench press, so I'm afraid I will drop the bar doing heavier weights. What do you think I should do? Don't go quite so heavy. Do more reps. You could use a squat rack or a squat cage and put up those supports so you can drop the bar just above your chest if you need to, or you can ask someone else at the gym to spot you. It's kind of a crapshoot, but who cares about your friends? Fuck your friends. You still got to train hard, so either get someone else, go and say, hey man, would you mind giving me a spot? You know, maybe make a new friend. You make a new gym friend, but you don't need anyone else to get huge. But if you're doing maximum reps or something super to your limit, yeah, you should definitely get a spotter. And the only problem with getting someone, hey bro, can you spot me? Sometimes people don't know how to fucking spot. Spotting is not just going over and just lifting the bar. There's an art to spotting where you're not helping too much, but you're also in a position where if they drop the bar, you got to be able to grab it. I love it when someone just gets some random girl like, hey, and their girlfriend's like spotting them. Like, she is going to flip over the bar and not be able to help you for shit if you get stuck. So that's like, that's gonna be one of those little trade-off things. So yeah, you still got to go. Just get someone else to spot you. Zach Brewer on YouTube live question. Is there a good matting I can get for both yoga and weight training? A good matting for both. You mean something that interlocks or just a mat? I mean, you could do yoga on anything. If you're looking for a mat or an interlocking thing for something, that's a big difference in question. In my opinion, you have those mats that you might want to you put around at home. You can interlock them, or you get a mat. I mean, I don't know why you need a mat for weight training though. You mean to drop the weights? Chances are you're gonna need two different things because weights are gonna put dents in the mat. You don't want to be fucking up a yoga mat. I would just get some regular matting for your weights and then just get a yoga mat and you just drape it on top. You just don't need a thick, I personally don't like those really thick yoga mats. I like the thinner ones. It gives you better feedback. Your wrists don't sink in. It's better for your wrists, in my opinion. Soft might feel good, but you can always roll up the mat or put a towel under your knee if it bothers your knee and things like that. Home Inspector AZ. Hand placement. Where in the hand should a person grip a barbell / weights? Depends on the exercise. I usually like to grab it more towards the wrist because if you put things really intensive on your forearm flexors, that's the kind of shit that leads towards tendonitis. If you're gripping like in your fingertips a lot, you want to get the meat, you want to get your hand over the fucking bar. Now, tendonitis and things in the forearm can usually come from muscle imbalances, from typing, from being on the phone, all these things, repetition, but you can get a TheraBar, you can do therapy and therapeutic exercise, and I do them regularly sitting here. I'm usually using one of my gel things to strengthen my forearm extensors in the meantime. But when you're doing things like, weights, it's more important where you're grabbing the bar. Like for a bench press, a lot of people grab it too narrow and they're getting their triceps too much involved. You want to go for more of a wider grip so your forearms are perpendicular with the ground. When you're doing things like pull-ups, depends on the size of the bar. Sometimes you're not going to be able to get it into the meat of your hand enough because the bar is really thick. So there's different types of grips. Sometimes, it might be really sharp. It might bother your hands. So you got to toughen up or use wraps or things like that. So if you're actually talking about where the bar is in your hand, I would stay away from a lot of pressure on your fingertips and like the edge of your fingers, because that's going to put a lot more pressure on your forearm muscles. And, that's the kind of thing that could lead to tendonitis if you're not balancing it out properly. So it depends on the exercise too. And there's a lot of subtle different changes and things and tweaks and things that I would do like for certain exercises. But in general, that's what I would recommend. Good question. Jay Styles on Facebook Live. High volume, moderate intensity, or low volume, high intensity? Super depends. These are very, very general questions. That depends on your goal. That depends on so many things. It's not just, hey, I want to get big. What should I do? Bodybuilding and building. All right, so building muscle. Here's the difference with that. Building muscle, is a very, very unique thing to do. And fitness is very, very unique. We're talking about general like fitness or looking a certain way or building muscle. There isn't a necessary fucking Christ. There isn't necessarily one direction, right? All right, we spit that out. There isn't necessarily this is what you do to build muscle. Bodybuilding is very, very unique in the sense that you can build muscle with different things. You can do high repetition and build muscle. You can do volume. You can progressively overload your body in different ways. It's not just like we think a lot of times that strength and size is the same, all right? If we're getting better in the gym, we're lifting more weight. That depends on what the goal is. If your goal is to lift more weight, then yeah, okay, you're doing better. If you're lifting more weight, you're getting stronger, absolute strength. If you're increasing your bench press, for example, you went from 250 to 275, you got stronger, absolute strength. But what if you gained 20 pounds in the meantime and your bench went up 20 pounds? Your relative strength might not have gone up so much because you are heavier. You're not lifting as much relative to your body mass. So it's a big difference. Now, when it comes to building muscle, you don't necessarily have to get stronger to build muscle. Building muscle in hypertrophy is very much a volume game. It's a volume. It's stressing the muscles in a different way than just neural recruitment for strength and for synchronized, motor neuron firing and all those different physiological factors that produce strength. Building muscle is different than that. Now, you can have components, strength and muscle size can definitely overlap with some of their adaptations. Like if you're going to build muscle, you're pretty much going to get stronger too. If you're getting stronger, you're likely to put on some muscle mass, but they're not necessarily the same. And you've seen this with people that could be extremely strong, but they're not that big muscularly. You've seen power lifters that look really, really big, but they're not shredded and they don't look like bodybuilders. They look like big fucking whales, but they're strong as shit. So you don't have to necessarily have a ton of muscle mass or look like a bodybuilder if you're strong, and it depends on your goal. So when it comes to volume, when you're trying to put on muscle, that's why a lot of bodybuilders, and that's why I'm talking about isolation a lot, that it's not just total body workout. It's not just upper, lower, or push, pull. Doing isolation and focusing on specific body parts, that's why bodybuilders do that kind of split. And people really mistake and put a lot of they beat up people with this, oh, bro, split, you're just doing chest, you're just doing back. Well, you need to overload the muscles enough. You need to give enough volume. And if you're doing 30 fucking sets or 20, 25 fucking sets, it takes a long time. It takes a long time to get that kind of volume in a workout. And what are you going to do? Work out for 4 fucking hours? That's ridiculous. Okay? So when it comes to building muscle, that's a very unique approach. You usually want more volume, and there's really no one direct way. This is how you build muscle, because high reps are great. Failure is great. Certain exercises you can do for bodybuilding that you might not want to do for strength. So it's a different art. It's a different outcome. But definitely, I would be erring more on the side of doing more volume and lower intensity for muscle mass. But you don't want to go like low intensity, like lightweight, but volume. You're definitely going to have to get some more volume if you want to build more muscle. So yeah, and there's a lot. Look, there's stuff that you'll see in the books and personal training journals and physiology. These are the rep ranges. There's a lot of gray area. Those are just general things that we've seen from bell curves and from statistical distribution. It's not completely like, oh, if you do 8 to 12, you're going to build muscle. If you do 15 to 20, it's more endurance. I mean, these are just, these are dispersed. So you can definitely build muscle. Trust me, you can definitely build muscle with 15 to 20 repetitions. Depends on, is that more to physiological failure? How many sets are you doing? Are you really, what body parts are you working? What's your overall training program? Blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of factors. Thank you for the response and the question. Erica Pumpkin HDZ 76. What can I eat after or before my workout? Food, because I get damn hungry after my workout, which is after work, like at 11 p.m. Well, when you go to sleep, I mean, there isn't an anabolic window. It's not like you have to be sucking down protein right after your workout. It's more important to get in your calories and your nutrients throughout the entire day. So as long as you're getting in your protein, as long as you're getting in your calories, it's not necessarily you have to get it right after your workout. So pretty much you want your body, don't forget your calories. It's not like the food that goes in, okay, now my body's going to use this. When you're eating food, your body has to break it down. It has to digest it. It has to send it around the body into the bloodstream. Your body has to break down these foods into the smallest possible unit so it could absorb through the small intestine, get into the bloodstream, and then slowly, when the heart pumps it around, it gets all the way down to the muscles, and then gradually those little freaking molecules will sift through and diffuse through the layers of the tissue and get to the muscles eventually. It takes fucking time. It's not like, hey, I worked out, let me eat this, and all of a sudden that food is going to the muscles. It takes hours and fucking hours for your body to get the actual molecules to the muscle. It's not like your body just sends it and just shoots down to your fucking calves. It has to get into your bloodstream and then slowly get pushed around like you're playing fucking, like a train, slowly gets around, and then it just absorbs everywhere. That's why you can't just, you don't just eat something and it goes right to your muscles there. That's why it's a continuous process, because you have to expose your body to stress and to food and to excess and to calories all the time. So the food and the nutrients are always there and it's always going through your system, right? So when it comes to when you eat or what can you eat, you should be eating the same food you normally eat. You don't want to necessarily have a huge meal. You don't necessarily have a massive meal right after 11 o'clock because it's going to affect your sleep, but you need to make sure you're getting enough calories throughout the rest of the day. So what can you eat after or before your workout? You could eat the food that you need to eat. So if you're working out at 11 p.m., I would recommend eating at 8 or 9. It's important. It's important to get your calories in, but right after, you might want to have something light if you're starving, but you definitely want to overload your body and be forcing your body to digest a lot if you're going to sleep right after. So if you're working out and then trying to get ready for bed, you got to ramp down. So you got to be careful with stimulants that you might be taking, caffeine or pre-workouts and things. You don't want to be like pounding that shit really late because it's going to affect your sleeping pattern. So after a workout, you just got to be careful. But in terms of, am I getting what I need? It's going to be throughout the entire day, not like what you eat right after. It's overall. Hi, Maria, IV. What's up, dear? What about training frequency for the natural bodybuilder? You say to train legs once a week or even less and crush them with volume and intensity. Well, I also say train them twice a week too. So, and I've gone over this. But for natural bodybuilding, you need to keep the protein synthesis going by training frequency. And they say to train every muscle at least 2 times a week. Who's they? What are you talking about? 2 to 3 even. Who are you speaking about? Every 48 hours, kinda. Who are you talking about? What about that? It depends. It depends. I say 1 to twice a week, but the more frequency, the less volume. Simple. As a natural bodybuilder and someone who lives without taking exogenous hormones, you need to recover. Everyone thinks about working out and pushing and pushing and pushing, but training is about recovery. If you're not recovering, then you're breaking down injured muscle and you're going to eventually hurt yourself and bonk out. So if you're training a body part more frequently, you have to drop the volume. So you can't be doing a massive 30-set workout, for example, on Monday for legs and do a massive 30-set workout on Thursday for legs. You're going to fuck yourself up. So if you're normally doing 30 sets, for example, I'm just throwing out a random number, you're going to have to break it down. Maybe just throwing shit out there. You do 15 on Monday and 15 on Thursday. For me personally, I like training muscles anywhere between 1 to 2 times a week. I just train, I go to the gym regularly and I go as often as I fucking can. And I adjust my training and my frequency and my volume based on when the last time I hit those body parts. So if I am trying to do it more frequently, I'm trying to get in 2 workouts on a specific body part a week, then you're going to drop the volume. If you do it 3 times a week, you're going to drop the volume even more because you're doing it 3 times a week. So the logic or the thought behind if you're natural, you're going to be doing more frequency and less volume is because you don't want to break down the muscle too much because you're going to have to recover naturally. You're not taking in testosterone. You're not taking in all these things that's going to help you recover faster. That's one of the reasons why people that take steroids can get so big, because they're actually recovering faster between workouts. So they can train hard and recover and hit it again harder in a shorter period of time. So you're kind of like compressing workouts and growth and capacity into a shorter window so you can make progress faster. But there's a lot of other risks that go along with it. So the more you train in terms of frequency, the less volume in each workout. JHD9201, no question, but wanted to say thanks for the daily Swole and focus. I've been listening and focusing on yoga and mobility a bit more. I've managed to engage the core with workouts more easily, and my diastasis recti, my abdominal muscle separation, is closing. So thank you. Awesome. Good for you. Good shit. TrevZim10. Being young and having a social life, but trying to stick to an elimination process is tough. Any thoughts or ideas? None of my friends are into fitness and stuff like me. Also, for fat loss, can I still have a bulletproof a day? Are you talking about the coffee? That depends on the person. The best thing to do is to try it if you like it and to keep doing it. Of course, you can lose fat. Let's see. Being young and having a social life, it depends. If you have goals, you're going to have to not do what a lot of other people do. This goes with anything in your life. If you want to get results with your training, your gym, and you have friends that aren't into fitness stuff, then you're not going to spend as much time with those friends, or you're going to find new friends. I'm telling you, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. If your friends don't go to the gym with you and they're not into fitness stuff, either you're into fitness stuff and that's where you break off and you start finding new friends, or you don't do the fitness stuff and you just be like everyone else. This is why people don't, you give a shit about who gives a fuck about what they say or what they think. If they're not into it, then screw them. You're going to find new people. Trust me. There are a lot of people that I would never hang out with because they just don't have the same views and they don't have the same passion. And I rarely spend time with other people because most people don't think the way I think. I have shit I need to do. I have things and priorities. And if it doesn't align with what I need to get done, then we're not going to be hanging out. So that's what you're going to need to do. You need to find new friends. But I'm not saying be a dick and say, fuck you guys. But if you need to go to the gym and train, then you need to go to the gym and train. If you need to eat certain foods, then either you stick to it and you do it or you don't. That's it. Either you're doing your elimination, either you're cutting out those foods or you're not. And if you're going to be around people that are trying to push other things on you or not keep you on track, then those are not the people you want to keep in your life. Even if they're not into it, they should be supporting you because that's what real friends do. The people that are closest to me, they're not necessarily fitness fanatics and things like, to my level. The closest people to me in my life, I don't speak to often. I'm not like we're not up each other's asses all the time. Like my best friends, we're not up each other's asses all the time. We're working, we're doing our thing. We're super close and we respect each other's time, You have to find people that improve your life. You have to find people that support your life. You have to find people that support your ambition. And if they don't, then fine. They can go do their own thing, but you don't want to waste your time with those people. So it has nothing to do with having a social life. You can have a social life and be in great shape. You can have a social life. Everyone's always wondering, that one post I did, it's like, well, the gym is your life. That's why you get results. Well, if you don't go all in and you don't put all your effort in, what do you think you're going to get? You're going to get bullshit fucking results. That's it. You're going to get bullshit results if you put in bullshit effort. So when I say fitness has to be your fucking life, yeah, because it covers all aspects of your life. Fitness is not just eating. It's not just training. It's everything else in between. It's not just what you do in the gym. It's not just what you do in the kitchen. It's the planning. It's the preparation. It's the scheduling. It's the prioritization. There's a lot that goes into getting the results that you want, especially with fitness. It's one of the few things that it's not just when you go and you paint a picture. It's not just when you go to work. Fitness is all the time. Fitness is more when you're not in the gym than when it is. It's what you're drinking. It's what you're eating. It's your sleeping. It's your scheduling. So a lot more to it. Kyle Arbor on the maintaining. I like the size that I am, although I wouldn't mind being a little bigger, muscular wise. I wouldn't mind. With that aside, should I keep my regular diet and fitness routine the same, or maybe add an extra sweet potato per day to add my nutrition, to add just a little extra to prevent any muscle loss? Well, there's no context with that. So maintaining, first off, I don't like the idea of maintaining. That just sounds like you're trying to tread water and not make progress. So when you say right there, I like the size I am, although I wouldn't mind being a little bigger, you got it all wrong, man. I mean, you have to fucking work your damn ass off to gain a pound or two. So you wouldn't mind. I don't think anyone would mind being a little bit bigger, having more muscle. It takes a shitload of fucking work. So you have to get a lot more aggressive to gain with that mentality. Should you keep your regular diet and fitness routine the same? If you want to stay the same, keep it the same. If you want to gain, you're going to have to increase. You're going to have to eat more and train harder and lift more and do more volume and keep going at it. So, don't think about your training as maintaining, because if you try to maintain, you'll lose over the long term. Don't try to maintain. Always be looking to make progress. It doesn't have to be getting as big as you want fucking can, but you definitely need to keep on being aggressive with your body. Otherwise, your body is going to easily want to slide back to what makes it feel comfortable and casual. Steiner, number one, what is left for you to learn to accomplish your own goals? I don't know. I haven't learned it yet. Everything. There's so much to learn. 2, who do you go to with your questions? Google. That's who I go to with my questions. Google. I Google shit. There are very few people that I would look to or go to, but Google gives you all the answers. So that's kind of like a good question in terms of like a mentor or a guru. It's important to be self-sufficient and self-educating. So you need to go online and put in the fucking work. You should be your own mentor. You should be your own guru. You can Google anything and get all this information, everything we talk about every day. You can find this information online. Is it harder to find on your own? Sure. It's called work. You have to sift through things. You have to try things. You have to educate yourself, but always be learning. And what's interesting to me and what I want to go with that question is you never know when you're going to learn something. And this is something that's really interesting. Whenever I listen to a podcast, or let's say this episode, maybe something struck you didn't expect, a question was asked, or I said something that kind of hit you a certain way. I'm sure a lot of you have had that. You can comment below if you have anything that sticks in your brain. But an episode where there was a certain topic and there was a certain question asked, or it went a different direction that you didn't expect, and all of a sudden, oh man, I never thought about it that way. I usually get information or I get perspective when I least expect it, because I'm open to those things. I also close myself off to most things. I don't follow a lot of people on social media. I rarely look at other things because I'm doing my own shit. I don't like to compare with others. I don't like to focus, oh, what are they doing? Let me do it like that. Oh, they're doing this. I should be doing, nah, fuck everyone else. I'm doing things my way. I'm working hard. I have my head down. I have a lot of things I need to do. Honestly, anytime you're looking around at what other people are doing, what someone suggests this or someone suggests this. There are many different ways to get successful. And with me, with my brand or my personal growth, there is no map for it. There is no direction that has been laid out by someone else. Like, no one's created Swolenormous before. No one's done what I'm doing in specifically my manner before. So there really isn't a roadmap for what I'm doing. So that's, I don't know if you want to call it scary, but that's kind of open-ended enough. So it's really about me focusing on what I want and continuously learning what I want out of my life, what I want out of my day, what makes me happy. And I don't look at anyone else's shit really. Very, 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 very few things I will ever look at. But what I do know is sometimes I'll be inspired and I'll get some great information in the most random things. So that'll be my response to that. Nate Reeves, would a total body approach be better in a cutting phase? Possibly. In caloric deficit, hard to build mass and strength. Wouldn't it be better to deload a bit and just try to burn calories? You're always burning calories. You're not going to try to burn calories more when you're in a deficit. You'll be fine. If you're in a deficit, you don't need to try to do anything extra because you're already in a deficit. So that question kind of flips back on itself. I wouldn't necessarily do a total body approach in a cutting phase, because then you're just kind of deloading and you're going easier in your body while you're cutting. You're going to lose some muscle quality and density, in my opinion. So what most people do when they cut is exactly that. They think about things differently. When you're cutting, all you're doing is you're changing your caloric value. You really don't have to do anything else to cut. You don't have to do anything else to lose. You just have to switch how much energy your body is intaking, right? Make sure your protein's sufficient, make sure your recovery is sufficient. Maybe you're doing a little bit more recovery, or you're just dropping the intensity a little bit. But most people, when they cut, they do so many things different. They change all these things. And then of course they lose too much muscle mass because they're changing how they train. They're not doing as much overload anymore, and they're cutting their calories, and they're not. And then you're doing HIIT training. So then you kind of get skinny and lean because you fucking changed everything. Everyone's trying to change 5 or 6 things when they start to cut, when all you got to do is fucking work on the calories and just cut a couple things. That's it. And you'll start cutting. People are impatient. They think they have to do everything differently. Not to get leaner, man. Not nutrition. Dave runs. Proper foot position for single leg RDL. My hips are super tight, which leads to them being externally rotated when relaxed. Yoga and mobility have improved, but I've noticed I have better balance if I let the toe turn out. Of course you do, because you have tight calves. You probably have a tight hip flexor. Is this okay as I work toward proper alignment as long as there's no pain? Everyone's body is going to be a little bit different, but I would definitely recommend working on your internal rotation. So yin yoga is fantastic. Work on your hip internal rotation. There's a lot of that yin yoga and a lot of that internal rotation work available inside Swolenormous X if you're not yet a member. So you could check that out, but I would recommend working on hip internal rotation and also releasing your your calves, strengthening the arch of your foot, your anterior tibialis, your posterior tibialis, all those things that allow you to properly internally rotate the foot. So overpronation, foot flattening, external rotation of the foot, that kind of like a dynamic is what's going on. And it's kind of hard to talk about foot position because some people have these unique positions when they do an exercise, and it's not dangerous because of their bone alignment and their structure. So being very Nazi and foot straight, not turned out ever. It's like, everyone's a little bit different. Bones aren't straight. Things aren't perfectly aligned. So you can't say that it has to be that way to be safe, that you're going to get fucked up if your toe's out a little bit. As long as as long as you don't have pain, as long as it feels good, as long as you're feeling it the way you should, as long as you're biasing your training towards working on more mobility and improving that and foam rolling and working on that internal rotation, I think you're fine. Just don't, listen to your body. Don't do anything if your form is horrendous, of course, you're just writing a text message. So how do I know exactly what's going on without seeing it? But if your form is decent, you feel good, you're going slow, and it's improving and you're improving your posture, then just keep on doing what you're doing. But yeah, that's super common, especially when we're sitting down a lot. The hip flexors get very tight, and the hip flexors externally rotate the thigh when they're really tight. So internal rotation is big time what people lose when it comes to hip mobility. Really good question. All these really good questions. A lot of these philosophy questions, it's like, what would you do? What's the most important thing that you've learned? I don't spend a lot of time thinking about that when I get questions that ask, the kind of the foofy, the woo-woo shit. Like, I don't really think in that sense, what's the most important aspect of the turning point of my life? I don't think about any of that shit. I'm really so much into right now. Whatever's happened in the past, I really kind of erase it. I don't like going to places that I used to live. I don't like, if I used to live in a certain area, I don't like going back there. I just like moving forward. I really like moving forward. I like where everything is now. I like the direction. And I kind of honestly, I like the unknown. I like what's going on in the future. People ask me, what's your full-blown vision? It's like, I have one, but at the same time, I like this kind of, I'm still figuring things out, which is okay. A lot of people need to have everything all mapped out. You have to have everything figured out. Understand that even if you have things mapped out, doesn't mean it's going to go that direction. And just because you envision it doesn't mean that's actually going to happen. Just because you visioned it, it'll give you more direction. It's important to think about those things, but it's also important to fucking put your head down and put the effort in. There's always those things that you can do right now that will get you where you should be going. If you're doing things for the right reasons, if you're doing things you enjoy, if you're building something that makes you happy, then it's taking you in the right direction. And all those little details and the specifics will come over time. But meditation helps. Calming yourself helps. It helps me because I'm very hyped up and I have to be. I'm doing tons of content, tons of video, and I have a lot of pent up fucking energy, and I'm sitting and standing at a fucking computer and I'm editing and I'm doing shit that I don't like to do. I do things I don't necessarily like to do probably 99% of the day, but not in a bad way. And I'm not talking about, hey, I hate editing videos. I mean, I enjoy it, the creativity aspect of it, but it's just like a lot of repetitious work. It's monotonous. When I come on the Daily Swole and we're live here, that's the exciting part. It's like, cool, I can talk. But then after this, then it's the podcast and I'm editing and splicing and then uploading and then putting the title and this and I'm posting. There's a lot of stuff that you're going to do that's going to be, the trench work. That's going to be getting your hands dirty, which is fine. And if you know your purpose in terms of what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing, a lot of those other things are going to filter out and you're going to have a lot more of that peace of mind and that proper direction if you're doing things for the right reason. So as long as you're making yourself happy, you're doing what you're passionate about and you're building something for yourself, whether it's mentally, spiritually, physically, it's going to take you in the right direction. And I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about hard work. I've learned a lot about discipline. I've learned a lot about self-education in the past 3 years. It's been a fucking ridiculous journey. And it is mind-blowing how much you can learn. This has been the most educational 3 years of my entire life. College, fuck, I wish I did this instead of going and spending 4 years in a fucking classroom. I wish I did this instead of my degree. Would have saved a shitload of money and would have learned 1,000 times more. Like just doing things yourself, doing things just like how I did in the gym, how I'm talking about. You apply, and I've applied and used all my education and used my knowledge and my experience, in the classroom, but I applied it and vice versa. Like it all feeds itself. I'm in the gym doing it. So it reflects against what I'm learning from certifications and from education. So it goes back and forth. I wasn't just sitting in a classroom, and I wasn't just a dude lifting in the gym. I was doing both. So I'm learning, and then I'm doing. And then that's like reflecting and communicating what I'm learning. Like, does this match up? Is this good? Does this really work? Is this really necessary? That's why my perspective and what we talk about, a lot of times when you look at like a scientific paper or this study says this, study says this. Well, I know because I've done it in the fucking gym that you don't necessarily need 8 reps or 10 reps to build muscle. You can do fucking 30 reps. Trust me. I do drop sets and high rep sets all the fucking time. So what's the most important thing? Oh, well, do you have to eat right out after? Do you have to eat right before? Do you have to do this? Well, that depends because I've done both and they haven't made a fucking difference. So it's experience. It's knowing, okay, that's what people say, but I know because I've done both of these fucking things. And for me personally, either I prefer one thing or I prefer the other, or they don't make a difference, and I'll tell that to you. It doesn't mean it won't necessarily make a difference for you. However, because I'm always trying things. I'm always trying shit. Like I put this into practice. I'm not just talking about things I read in a book like, oh, I got a personal training certification. You should do 8 to 12 reps, blah, blah, blah sets, and that's going to give you hypertrophy. Well, there's the stuff you'll read and there's the stuff you'll actually do and you'll actually experience. So it's just amazing what you'll learn when you absorb yourself in what you're passionate about. Because if you enjoy what you're doing and you love it, you're going to want to learn as much as you can. You're going to want to experience it and get your hands dirty. So that's what I'm doing. And I don't like to suppose or to assume where I'm going to be in a couple years because it's been really exciting actually. Where it all started and where it is now and where it's going. It's like, who the fuck knows? I mean, I have ideas. I have things I'm working on, but it's exciting. I appreciate that, Spence. Watching your content definitely changed the way I approach things in life. I appreciate that. I'm glad to provide these thoughts and concepts to a lot of, to those of you that I know can benefit from it. Hopefully it helps you cut some corners and get to certain places faster than I was able to myself. Kayla, you wear the barefoot shoes because you train your feet to walk the way you naturally should. That being said, how do you feel about floor sleeping? Funny you should mention that. I sleep on the floor. I sleep on a pad on the floor right next to the bed. I actually like it more because I have carpet. I have carpet and like a rug, but I take that thick, those toppers on the bed because when I have it on the bed, it's too soft. I don't like sinking in. And plus I like having, a king size or super king size space. I like to sprawl out. I like to have space. So I actually just put that big topper pad on the ground and I sleep there. That's where I sleep. So it's actually funny. I feel better that way. I like that more. So that was a good question. That's a good question. I don't do that for any other reason because it just feels better. So I like it. And I like being barefoot. I like being barefoot. And, barefoot has its purposes. And I wouldn't necessarily say go run on concrete barefoot. You have to take that into consideration. But yeah. So that's how Papa Swole fucking rolls. That's how he rolls. That's how he sleeps. Trisha, finished push ignite and damn Sphinx push-ups freaking kill me every time. Those are the tits. Those are delicious. So today's going to be a lower body pump. I'm going to get some lower body pumping today. I'm going to get that. I know I said last day or two, but I'm going to get new workouts, new stuff up on the Gain Train. And like I said, those of you that are Swolenormous X members, you have a few brand new instructional videos coming today and a lot more content that's going to be dropping today. And I'm going to try to get it done today. And things are getting away from me with, this week it's getting a little bit compressed, but I have a bunch of new content that's coming in the next few days. So I'm excited about that. So if you want to figure out or find out more about Swolenormous X, about memberships, if you want to check out the Gain Train, free workouts and nutrition, it's all at swolenormousx.com. You can also subscribe to the podcast if you are not yet subscribed. And there's going to be, there's going to be, of course, every fucking day this week. There's no days off. And remember, the New Year's, Swole New Year's is December 30th. So remember, December 30th, we are celebrating our fucking New Year because we're starting 2 days early. So don't forget, December 30th, Happy New Year, everyone. Make sure you get your pump on. Thank you for asking your questions. We'll be doing this again next week. And there's going to be a lot more training content coming up in the next few days. We'll talk more about workouts or get some more tactical stuff. Make sure you keep on asking your questions. You can post up comments, follow on Instagram, everywhere at Swolenormous. And we'll be keep on crushing it every fucking day. So thank you so much for your questions. One more question. Daniel, my lower back cracks when I stretch it in yoga. Is that a bad thing? If there's no pain, no, it's fine. No pain, no problem. My back cracks when I go on a foam roller or I do yoga. My back goes pop, 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 pop. Feels great. Feels amazing as long as you're not doing it with like force or yanking yourself. If you're like rotating and your body's cracking, it's good. The more mobility you're doing, you're getting the fluid through. That's why yoga is important. It's important to bend and twist. It's important to rotate, transverse, frontal, sagittal plane, move in all different directions, get the fluids through. It really helps you balance out the body. So that's one of the great things about yoga is you'll move in ways that you're not going to be moving in your day-to-day life, which gives you amazing, amazing balance and, dynamic support. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me for episode 961 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular Swolecast, Beercast, Broadcast, Gamecast, Mancast, Pimpcast, Sleazecast, and Slaycast in the realm. Because when I flex, you flex. We all flex our biceps. Thanks for joining me. See you tomorrow for 962 of the Daily Swole. Peace, McGee's, Deuce, Magoose, your boy, Papa Swolio. Out.